Hey there, it's Pete with GCI Turf. Hope you're having a great day, and let's talk about that renovation you're getting ready to go through, okay? So, this is a big deal, okay? This is not an easy task. Of course, the bigger the yard, the harder it is. Step number one, you have to determine whether or not do you really need a renovation, and that's something you're going to have to make your mind up on. If you've got loads of Bermuda grass, lots of wild grass that are just typical herbicides, can't control them. Quite possibly you might have a Kentucky 31 yard. You want a darker green yard. You may have many different varieties of fescue in your yard, and they're different shapes and size blades, and they grow different rates and speeds, and you should know whether you want to start the yard over or not. Okay, that's a big decision on your part. So let's say you've made that decision. You're going to do it. So here I'm going to walk you through the steps, step by step, so you can get it. Of course, you can come back to this video, then refer to the guide that you got, and and kind of it'll just take you through the whole process. So step one, you need to get that Ranger Pro, your glyphosate, and you got to have some type of a sprayer to apply that with, and you want to apply that at 4 ounces per 1,000 square feet. Okay, or 4 ounces per gallon, and a gallon's going to cover 1,000 square feet. You want to the low volume spraying and Roundup really doesn't work all that great. You want to make sure you have plenty of water with it so you can get very good coverage on the leaf surface itself, on the tissue itself. So you're gonna set that date typically around the end of July, 3rd week of July, 4th week of July roughly. You're gonna spray the entire yard or spray the entire area you want to renovate. Okay. After that, you're just gonna sit back and chill. You're not going to do anything. And one thing I do recommend is that you do not mow the yard a couple of weeks prior to your first Roundup app. That way the leaf tissue is big and bold and bushy and shaggy. That way more of the Roundup gets on more of the leaf tissue, so you get a better kill with that first round. So you'll do that 2-3 weeks, depending on your weather. The yard's going to become brown. Totally and completely brown. Don't be shocked. You're trying to kill it. Okay? So it's going to brown out. You're going to go out there with your mower, and you're going to cut it down to roughly 1.5 inches or so, maybe 2 inches, something like that, and really take a lot of leaf tissue off. At that point in time, I do recommend, if at all possible, you collect the clippings. You bag the clippings. Chances are some seed heads are going to be sticking up from where you sprayed it. We don't want those seed heads to get back in the yard, okay? So you're going to do that the very next day after you mow it, or immediately after you mow it, you're going to spray that second round of glyphosate over the entire yard. Okay, even if it's got a little brown, if it's brown or not, spray it. Trust me, spray it. You're going to wait another 2-3 weeks, and then you're going to scalp the yard to the ground. My definition of scalp is about 1/2 inch. Okay, you want to get it almost as low as you can get it to the ground without damaging your mower. Okay, that's how low you want to get it. And then the same process immediately after or the day after. Don't wait. Don't put this off. Immediately after you mow or the day after you mow, blanket spray the entire yard the 3rd time. Okay. The reason we do that, especially in Bermuda yards, is a lot of the times those runners will crawl right on top of the ground, and that first and second Roundup application won't make it to that leaf blade that is growing on top of the ground. So that's why we scalp it. That way expose everything. Everything. You should be able to see the dirt clearly after that last time you mow it. Spray your Roundup. And that should be it. You should have effectively gotten Roundup on every piece of Bermuda wild grass in the yard with the 3 applications and the 2 mowings in the process of scalping it down. You should be good to go. Okay, next step is you need to be prepared to do your ground preparation. That can mean using a plugger, an aerator, an aerovator, a tiller, uh, garden tiller behind the tractor, whatever. I do say if you do choose to use a tiller, only go about 2 inches deep. You don't want the ground so incredibly soft that when you start watering it, it's like a mushy, muddy mess. You don't want that. You want the ground to tighten back up a little bit before you mow it, okay? If you don't, you'll rut your yard up really bad. So be cautious with the tillers. Only go a couple inches deep. Plugger, it doesn't matter how deep you go because it's not going to work the same way as a tiller. If you do rent an aerator or a plugger or borrow one, you want to make 4, 5, 6 passes over the yard. Just annihilate the yard. Expose as much dirt as you possibly can, okay? Now here's one trick. If you do decide to plug it, put half of the grass seed you're going to use down first. Okay, you'll always use 10 pounds per 1,000 square feet in a sunny area, 8 pounds per 1,000 in a shady area. And don't, if you're off a little bit on that, don't sweat it. You don't have to be so exactly precise. But put half your seed down, plug the ever-living snot out of it, then put your other half right on top. Then you could take a slit seeder without seed in it, set the tines to where they're about a 1/4 inch in the ground, 1/2 inch, and just start riding over the yard. Start going over the yard and just grooving that seed in, busting those little plugger dog turds up, and you'll be covering grass seed up the whole time you're doing it. And if you're using an aerovator, if you rent an aerovator, it depends on how hard the ground is, depends on how many passes you have to make. You can put half your seed down, aerovate 1 pass with an aerovator, because if you go 2, you're probably going to bury the seed too deep. Seed, half the seed down, aerovate, other half the seed, and then you can go over the slit seeder. Now, if you choose to not put the seed down half first and half after plugging or aerating, then do your aerating, plugging, rip the yard all to shreds, put all of your seed down, then take the slit seeder and just go over it and kind of work that seed in the ground a little bit. Once your seed is on the ground, you're ready for your, what was it, tenacity and RGS and humic 12, whatever's in, I can't remember, but whatever's in the packet there, you can go ahead and put that down, spray it, the tenacity and the other products, aerate and things like that. Go ahead and spray it right over top of the grass seed. Whether you put it all in one tank or spray them separate or whatever, it doesn't matter. Just spray them all over top of the grass seed, over the entire yard. Now, what about your fertilizer? Honestly, it doesn't matter. You've just broken the ground up in a very serious kind of way. Okay, so the fertilizer, once the water hits, it's going to have no issues at all getting down in the soil. So you can put the fertilizer down before you plug or after you plug. It does not matter. Before you aerate or after you aerate. I would do this. I would make sure that in all these steps, the tenacity goes down dead last, okay? Make sure, no matter if you mix it with another product or not, just make sure the tenacity goes down last, simply because once you put that down, we don't want any traffic on the yard other than you dragging the water hose around, okay? And of course, that leads up to the very last part of this renovation is your watering. You know, you can top dress it with peat moss, compost, topsoil, little 1/4 inch, something like that. I'm not a fan of straw in any kind of way because it introduces all kind of crap. You don't know where that straw come from. You don't know the field that straw come out of, and you don't know what's in that field. So I don't recommend straw, peat moss, compost, whatever, or nothing. I can't tell you how many renovations we've done, and we don't put nothing on the yard. We just let the moisture hold the seed in place from watering it correctly. So again, when you're watering, make sure it doesn't get mushy, soupy wet. Okay, we just want it moist. Use your hand touch the ground, feel the moisture in the ground. If you take the dirt and kind of mash it together, it should be a little bit sticky. You shouldn't be able to mash it and water ooze out of it, okay? Now, it's two ways you can do this. I know you're busy just like me. One, you can water a little bit longer and get it kind of wet and then let it dry out a little bit. Or you could water it multiple times for less minutes and just kind of let the water itself keep it moist. Either way is fine. You just don't want puddling. You don't want little creeks of water running through the yard. That kind of thing. Just keep the seed moist is the end of the day. And man, that grass will pop up out of the ground in no time. Thunderstorms. That's hard. That's something we can't control. And you know, if it's going to rain hard enough to wash a rut in the yard, chances are the straw is going to go with it. So I've heard that argument 100 times. Well, if I put straw down, it won't wash. Well, I don't agree with that, because if it rains that hard and it washes a rut out, that straw is going down the hill with it. Okay, so you can throw that out the door. If you get in that situation, that's where some hard work and patience and perseverance comes in handy. You're just going to have to go out there, repair those spots, get back on the water, and get it going. So I can't wait for you to get that brand new yard. I'm telling you, I was so excited when I had nothing but dirt out here, because I knew right around the corner I was going to have this nice, lush, beautiful yard that I could take care of. So hey, in the document there's a cool season program if you're interested. It's what I use on my yard year after year. It will give you an exceptional turf. There's some mowing. There's all kind of things in that cool season document that this doesn't cover. It's very detailed. I spend a lot of time on it, just so you would know exactly what to do with the yard. So hey, get out there, put your boots on. It's time to get with it. Renovation time. It's not for the faint at heart. Okay, you have to get out there and get your hands dirty and just dig in and get with it. It's a lot of hard work, but the reward is incredible. I've been enjoying my yard for 6 years now, and just absolutely so glad that I did a renovation and started over from scratch. So hey, hope this helped. Remember, go back, read the document, follow everything step by step. One thing on the Roundup just came to mind. If you don't have Bermuda, okay, if you just have a fescue yard that you want to kill off, or ryegrass or whatever, anything but Bermuda, typically 1 or 2 Roundup applications will work, okay? And you can do after the last Roundup application, the day after, you can start doing your groundwork and seeding. There's no wait time on Roundup. So that just happened to come to mind too. So hey, thank you for getting this. I cannot wait. I want you to take pictures, before and after pictures, plenty of them, because I want to see them. I want to put them in a video and show your yard off. Get your renovation right.